Hello. His toy is so funny. So, please excuse the appearance. The video that I'm going to be making today fits this look. So, I wanted to talk about sleep training / regressions / habits and whatever. Since James was born, when he was an infant, for the first 4 months, he slept for 4 to 5 hours at night, and then he would wake up and nurse and go right back to sleep. And throughout his entire life, if he's ever woken up, he, like 95% of the time, will go right back to sleep when I nurse him. So, forgive the appearance of the room. We were just on vacation for a week, so there's a lot of laundry that I have to handle. Anyway, so I wanted to talk and just do like kind of a recap for my own records, but also just to put it out there to let other moms know that you're not alone, and to see if there's any advice anyone has to offer, or if I can offer help and advice to anyone. That's awesome. So, for the first 3 to 4 months of James' life, he would sleep 4 to 5 hour increments and wake up, nurse, and go right back to sleep. Around 4 months, he started to wake up more frequently. And when I say more frequently, I mean he would start waking up around, I don't know, every 90 minutes to 3 hours. And every night is different. It's random. I never know what I'm going to get throughout the night. So there's that component. And depending like on his teeth and what physical milestones and cognitive milestones he's working on, his sleep can be more or less interrupted. So 4 months, he started to wake up more frequently, and it was kind of like really around 2 hours at that point. And it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't honestly that bad for me, because he had been sleeping so well before that, and we just attributed it to teeth. And then he started teething, honestly, like at 2 months old. He was drooling a lot, and he was like biting. And then like 4 months came along, and he had his 2 bottom incisors, and he's always gotten his teeth in twos. It's always been the 2 front incisors, and then the lateral incisors, and then the top, and so on and so forth. So, around 4 months, we just attributed it to teething, and the sleep regression really did not last that long. It was like probably a week. But when the regression is over, when all of his, by the way, I know that this video is going to be a little scattered, and I do apologize. He has had a sleep regression at every age marker. They say one can happen. He's had one. So, hi. The 8-month one was the one that really blew us out of the water and took us completely by surprise. Yeah. That was in the summer, and it lasted about 3 weeks. And by the first week, when the first week was over, I was exhausted and besides myself. I was cranky all the time, and anyone who's experienced the sleep regression knows that each sleep regression is different. There are different hallmark signs. There are going to be different areas of regression that the child experiences. So, like, I can't really remember the 4th one. I just remember that there were more night wakings, but he would go back to sleep. Well, the 8-month one was like he refused to go to sleep. And if he did go to sleep, he would, for the most part, stay asleep. He still had a lot of night wakings, but he would go right back. His 12-month one was a little bit more different. He went to sleep easily, but when he woke up in the night, he was up a little bit longer. Like, sometimes I could nurse him and get him right back, but I remember often around that time having to rock him and get out of the bed and go to, like, resort to, like, different measures to try to put him back to sleep. So, like, rocking, bouncing on the ball behind me. There's a rocking chair over there that you guys can't see. And then his 18-month one was more of fighting kind of to go to sleep, and then once I got him to sleep, if he wasn't too stimulated when he did have his night wakings, he would go back. Sometimes I would have to get out of the bed, and sometimes I wouldn't. So the two holy grails that we had in this entire experience were bed sharing and night nursing. They're the only two things that have worked to keep us sane parents. And even with those holy grails, it's been a challenge during those times. With the 8-month one, I think the reason why it was the hardest for us was because, one, it was the longest that we had experienced in a sleep regression. That was really long. 3 weeks it was really long. And we didn't know it was a sleep regression, so we were really fighting. We fought him, you know, not like fight physically, but we were like, okay, you know, no, we're going to rock you, and this is bedtime, and I'm just going to put all of my energy into getting you down to sleep to make sure you stay asleep. When James was born, I didn't have a co-sleeper or like a little bassinet thing. He honestly, for probably the first week of his life, slept in his car seat because I was too afraid to put him in his crib. He was like this little tiny bean in this big, wide, huge crib, and I was like, that's just way too big for you. I feel like you're lost. I want you close to me. I want you in your car seat. And then from the car seat, we went to the swing. We never actually got a co-sleeper, a little like bassinet thingy. With our second, we probably would. If we have more kids, I would buy one. It just makes life easier. So he started bed sharing with us, and the bed sharing really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was great. We both loved it. He was close by. I could peek my one eye open and see him, and it just made us both feel a lot better that he was right next to us. And it made it so much easier for me because if he woke up, I would nurse him right there in the bed, fall asleep, you know, it was perfect. And there were, like, I want to say, like, around 4 months, he started to sleep more. He did, when he was even, like, 2 months, I started putting him in the crib. 4 months, he was in the crib. But then after the 4-month sleep regression, I was in work full time, so I did have him bed share with me more so that I could get more sleep when I would go to work full time. And, that is where we slowly started to bed share more often than have him sleep in the crib. So when the 8-month sleep regression came along, I was like, oh, well, maybe he just needs to sleep in his crib. Maybe it's too much, like, to have him close to the both of us. Maybe he wants his own space. I don't know. I would spend literally 2 hours trying to get this child to fall asleep. 2 hours. I'm not exaggerating. I remember a lot of, like, rocking him, bouncing him on the ball, nursing him off and on, and looking at the clock, like, it's an hour and a half and he's still awake. He would be on the way to falling asleep. So, like, he would be relaxed in my arms, his eyes would be droopy but not closed all the way. And if I put him down with his eyes droopy, he would wake right back up and start crying and screaming. And so when I finally did get him to sleep, it was like he knew, I swear. If I put him in the crib, he instantaneously woke up, he knew, and he would scream, and then it would take another 2 hours all over again to put him to sleep. Careful. So, we definitely, again, started bed sharing much more when he was 8 months and went through that regression. And then and then it just, like, kind of just stayed there. We put our mattress on the floor because at that point in time it was just too safe to keep it on the oh, you're poopy. We have to change your diaper, so I'm going to wrap this video up. It was too safe to keep him up high, so we had to put the mattress on the floor, and we just bed shared from then on. Like, never looked back. We took the crib apart, and he outgrew the swing, so when he was in the swing, like around 6 months, it was great because I would nurse him, he would fall asleep, I would be able to put him in the swing, and then I would get like 3 hours. It was awesome. Like, he would go to sleep around 8 o'clock, and I was working, and this was right before I got laid off of my job, he would go to sleep for like 3 hours in the swing, like just chill. And then when Jamie and I were ready to go to bed, James was waking up, so we would go in there and bring him into bed with us, and I would nurse him, and we would all go to sleep, and it was really, I mean, it worked out well. During the times of his sleep regression, it was rough, and the 8-month one, when we finally did realize that it was a sleep regression, we were like, okay, this is definitely a point in parenting where you're like, you have to pick your battles, and not every parent says that. You know, some people, they give you advice in different forms than other people, but that phrase resonated big time with us. We were like, we have to pick and choose our battles. Is this a battle that we want to have? No, it isn't. And so, while it was important for us to have, like, you know, some downtime, just us together, or even for me to have me time and Jamie to have his own me time, you know, doing whatever we wanted to do, like just an hour or so before bed, we had to give that up because it was worth it to give it up to us, for us to give that up so that we didn't have to spend 2 hours being frustrated and angry and just like, oh my God, why aren't you going to sleep already, James? I've been doing this for I don't know how long. I'm over it, whatever. And if we did let him stay up those 2 hours, he would go right to sleep. So that's the thing. It was like,